Welcome to Art and Soul Pavilion Perspectives, presented by Photo Art Pavilion, where we go beyond the frame to meet the artist behind the lens. I'm Jessica Lempin, co-founder and co-owner of Photo Art Pavilion, diving into the stories, travels, and sparks of inspiration that shape the work of our featured art photographer. Today, I get to speak with Dawn Herlihy Reilly, who is an award-winning fine art photographer who's now based in Florida. A graduate of the Germain School of Photography, Dawn has devoted the craft since receiving her first Kodak Brownie Starmatic at age 12. Her work has been featured in exhibits at the Long Island Museum, Rhode Island Center for Photographic Arts, and the Long Island Arts Council at Freeport, among others. Known for her expressive portraits, stunning landscapes, and imaginative toy camera photography, Dawn embraces the beauty of imperfection, creating images that feel nostalgic, artistic, and deeply human. Welcome to Art and Soul Pavilion Perspectives. I am so thrilled. I'm so, I'm so thrilled to have you join me today because I've known you for years now. You are Florida based now, but you work here on Long Island in New York, and it's always such a pleasure speaking with you and also viewing your work. So thank you so much for taking some moments out of your day today to be able to sit with us and to talk about your art.
Thank you. It's wonderful to see you. Yes, I miss New York very, very much.
Not now with the snow, but yes.
No, yes. Right now, I'm very, very thankful to be
Yeah.
here.
Dawn, first image up is your watchful snowy owl. This image is so great. I'm loving the tones, the colors, the sharpness of the owl. And I got to ask, did you sit out there for hours on end waiting for the snowy owl to show up, or were you lucky enough that the owl was already there?
I did go out on like a cold January morning early because
Mhm.
I had heard a rumor, because they're not that easy to find. I would love to be a real true birder, but I don't have the patience to sit and be quiet for that long. So I was taking pictures of like the sun on the water, and I don't know what made me turn around, but he literally flew right behind me. And I'm not the only one there. And they're very silent. So I could see where he landed into this little bit of a dune. I had my long lens on already. So it was kind of like he landed and looked over his shoulder because it was just the two of us on the beach. And it was literally a moment that just took my breath away.
It's pure
It,
magic. I mean,
it
your
was
instincts to turn around, see the owl, and to have this like connection.
And the funny thing is, I've had connections with owls before. I have a little bit of a series of great horned owl with its babies. That truly was another magical experience where I just truly got lucky with those. It was funny because it was like a mom and mom experience because she was totally exacerbated with these babies that just were not going to fly the nest. Fun. So I got very, very blessed with those.
Definitely, yes. And I mean, this one here, the way you positioned the owl in this moment, I know for myself, I'm not a birder, but I get definitely excited when that moment presents itself and you're like panicked, right? To make sure you get the shot and to be able to have it placed perfectly here. I love that it's sitting right on that edge of the dune. So you have that nice split right across the screen, but this owl is just connecting the two halves of your scene, the foreground and the background. Wildlife photography, it's all about that connection with the eye, and you've nailed it here. Now, even if you didn't have your camera, just
Yeah,
experience that alone is quite
exactly.
impressive.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for sharing this one. Your second image you're sharing with us today is relaxing in the blue bonnets. Wonderful scene here. You have this beautiful landscape, this peaceful moment, and this longhorn cow hanging out and just relaxing and taking in like probably the sights and sounds, just like you probably were as well. Do you want to share a little bit as to where this was, what happened that you're able to be in this magical moment with this cow?
Actually gone to Texas because I was going to photograph the eclipse with my sisters. But I had gone a day ahead of time because I knew I wanted to, it was always a place I wanted to go to capture the blue bonnets. That's not something you could see in New York. right? So it was very specific to that part of the country. I was by myself, was driving around in the hill country. I can't say exactly where I was. And then I just saw out of the corner of my eye this cow just literally basking in the sun. And then I did a U-turn on the highway, pulled my car over, and then able to just spend a few minutes just being one and just really appreciating the peace of just how this animal was just living its best life right there, in that moment. And I hope that that cow lived another very long best moment after. I can't say exactly what I was hoping to get driving around the hill country, but I don't think it gets better than bluebonnets and longhorn when you're visiting Texas. And then I was able to kind of just pull the car around and actually get that shot. I was kind of proud of myself because it would have been very easy to just say, oh, that would have been nice, and kept going.
I mean, just the fact of getting in a car in a unknown place and just seeing what happens, that's part of the excitement and the thrilling element when it comes to photography. And you never know what you're going to come across. And I didn't realize that your goal was the blue bonnet, and now this longhorn cow, just made it so much more interesting. Instead of getting down low and shooting the flowers a certain way, now you have a whole story going on here. And to be able to have that element in with your blue bonnet chase is really neat and interesting to see.
So,
Excellent.
it was just a very special few days, all in all, from bluebonnets to eclipses, and getting some Texas barbecue with my family was extra special.
Ooh, I love that for you.
Yeah,
That's nice.
yeah.
That's good. It's great to combine relaxing time or connection with others and to be able to still do photography. It's great.
And that's a trick, because a
Yes,
lot of
as a
times you go
photographer. Yes.
as a photographer, and as when you're surrounded by a lot of people, sometimes it's not easy to be able to find moments like this one. When you go on vacation, you go into these beautiful places, but everybody wants to do something else, which I think probably one of the other pictures you're going to pull up is one of those moments where, with a bunch of people, I just find myself pulling away and just being in a moment, in surroundings, and then just able to capture just this serenity or the light.
Dawn, this is your third image that you're sharing with us, and it's titled Unisphere. Can you share a little bit behind the scenes as to what's going on, how you photographed this, and if it was presented in any kind of exhibit? Because I have a feeling it might have been.
Yeah, and this is another one that I love. And actually, this was like the centerpiece of an exhibit that I had of just my toy camera photography. At my heart, I am still a film photographer. Started out that way when I was young, and I never truly gave it up, even as digital was coming about. I always had film cameras. I started shooting with a Diana Mini like in the late 90s. It just was just fun to me to be able to play with film again after having not for quite some time. Toy camera photography just lets me have fun. I don't have to really think about settings, and it really takes all that out of the way, and it's really just about what's in front of you, and you're definitely collaborative with the camera because you don't have really the ability to change lenses or focal planes or anything. So, and they're quirky. They could add light leaks, they could do funny things. So, what you get is a very collaborative experience between, what you see and what the camera's deciding it wants in the photo. This was taken during COVID, and it was one of those spring days. I had just been in the house. It was enough. Like, I'm getting outside, I'm taking my camera, and I went to Flushing Meadows with my niece. And there was not a lot of people around, and it was a very interesting time, specifically shooting film. And this young girl, all masked up, comes riding her bike past the World's Fair Unisphere. It was just a moment, and that is fun because it captured like a real moment in time and history. That's not something that I normally do. Like I am not a photojournalist in any sense of the word. But I feel like there's a little bit of photojournalism there because it's actually capturing a very unique time in human history, what it felt like to be able to be out in the fresh air. And it said with the toy camera, it just like all of the elements just came together.
The layering of interest. So you have that little girl on the bike that kind of connects your foreground with the background, which is great. But I also love that the shadows of the trees are right below her. So it's just like this flowing levels, which is always really fun to see and to kind of dig into the scene visually. And then, your placement. The little girl's facing more so into your frame versus out of your frame, which also adds that interest. So you can kind of be there with her. In this scene, you can't see that she's wearing a mask, but now knowing what time frame that was and so on, it adds to that story completely. And of course, it looks like an older day photo because it was taken on the toy camera setup that you have, and that film. The film has such good texture to it that it does look dated. Meanwhile, it wasn't too long ago.
Right.
And that's always a fun part to the story behind the scenes itself. But yeah, this is a really interesting one. So thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Toy photography is something that I gravitate to more and more.
I know I've seen you in action. It is a process, and to be able to see the outcome of you playing with the toy, not really playing, but it's a toy camera. You want to say playing.
It is play. It's absolutely play.
And then to see the work that you're able to generate from that is just incredible. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for your creativity on this. Dawn, here is your last image with us. It's titled Sit and Stay a While. And I know when you took this, I was there far away. I wanted to see what you ended up capturing because I saw you wandering during a workshop that we were doing. And I saw you wander over to this moment, and you definitely had such a peace and calmness to you when you were over here and viewing the chairs and being one with that moment. Do you want to share a little bit behind the scenes, your perspective shooting this, and what really gravitated you to walk over and experience this?
I want to say that those little trips are wonderful because it's really nice to be with other photographers and have a sense of collaboration. Just even though everybody's kind of shooting their own thing, it's kind of really fun to be able to see what other people see and just have that artistic brotherhood, sisterhood. I don't get that very often to be able to spend time with other like-minded people. But also, I tend to kind of wander off. My favorite images are the ones where I step away from everybody and then just find the moment. And that truly was just waiting for me. That there was nobody actually sitting in those chairs, which I don't understand why. It was a beautiful area. It was a beautiful day. And I got so many wonderful images out of that trip. Why nobody was sitting there, I do not know.
It was
Because
meant to be.
if I were not photographing, I absolutely would have been sitting there. And just everything about it had like the tree arches into the two chairs, how they were facing each other, literally just waiting for somebody to come in to that moment and just be, because the whole area is just so beautiful and peaceful. And moments like these you can find anywhere, even when there are tons of people around, is like one of those little blessings and a peaceful moment where just finding it, capture it, and being able to share it. Because if you're looking, you can always find beauty in the world, but you could choose to find moments like this anywhere.
I agree. So whether you're on a workshop in like upstate New York over in Letchworth, which is where this was, or even in your own hometown and just walking around. I think as a photographer, you always kind of need to be present in that moment and looking around and just being a tourist wherever you are, a tourist of life, and to be able to take it all in and find those magical moments is just amazing. So thank you so much for sharing this scene with us. It just
Oh,
tells such a story, the connection of the branches, the chairs, the shadows on the foreground. Like there's just so much going on. And it's one of those scenes that your eye kind of moves around, which just adds more interest. So thank you.
and thank you for putting those photo excursions together because they're fun.
They are. I do miss them. We got to get some more on the calendar.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
What does success mean to you at this stage of your creative journey?
I feel like I don't know that I need to have success of what the traditional view of what success is. That I get to share my art. I've had, significant buyers, so that's validating, but I don't want that to just be the only criteria for creating art. Because photography was a business for me for so long, now that I get to be creative and just shoot what I want and share what I want.
A monetary success almost feels like dilutes the art in a moment. Like there's something about that. Like as an artist, I'm still working on that myself. But at the same point, it's about the creation of what it is that you're seeing and doing and putting the work out there. So thank you so much for sharing that and being vulnerable for a moment.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Is there any defining moment that has changed the way you see the world?
Because I started and I was so young, and I can remember like my first roll of film and wanting where I actually climbed this giant pine tree in Wisconsin, like on a lake in Wisconsin. And I took my little camera up there, and I still have the picture somewhere. And the view from that pine tree that nobody else could see. And then I could bring that home and say, look at this, just as a viewpoint for me because I climbed higher and could share that. It's just been something that I just have always done. I can't say that at any specific time that something's changed the way I see the world because I feel like it's how I've always seen the world.
Oh, I like that. Okay. And I
So
love that you're able to share your views, right? So that moment in time did help you show how powerful photography can be, where that moment in time you're able to capture something that others haven't seen and you're able to share with them that view, that perspective that you had. And it's almost like a way of giving.
like going back
Yeah.
to the Adirondack
Yeah.
chair, like there were many people that just walked right
So
past it.
many people around us. Yes.
Kept walked right past it. But now I present it to you, and then you get to say, oh, wow,
It's take
that's
it in.
beautiful, that's peaceful, and it evokes a type of emotion.
As a viewer of your work, we're able to connect with you and to see what it is that stops you take on the scene itself. It's still we're able to join you in that moment in time, which is kind of frozen, which I like. I don't know. Have you ever created something that surprised you? Maybe going out
So,
shooting, not sure, and then
yeah,
turns out to be like a magic shot for you.
shooting, like I said, shooting film sometimes, and just like,
Enough said.
um, I started with a pinhole camera and I was like, all right, I had no idea what I was doing. I set it up and literally hope for the best because in pinholes, you don't really know.
Give a roundabout.
That first roll of pinhole film, I am absolutely in love with. And actually, it's on the website.
Mhm.
That's the Biltmore Sphere, which is really, not only am I trying to figure out a pinhole camera, but I'm shooting it vertically. So forget the challenges with that. That shot actually ended up in Black and White magazine. And to me, that was like,
That's exciting.
it
Yes.
was very exciting for me. It was very exciting. And I had no idea what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing.
That's the beauty of
I
it.
keep
There's
trying
so
it. I
much to
keep
learn.
trying it.
Yeah.
Right. And I keep trying.
But thank you
So,
so much for joining me today and to share the stories behind your art and to be a part of the interview series. So thank you so much, Dawn. I really appreciate you.
so I appreciate you reaching out. It's good to see you again.
Thank you for joining us on Art and Soul Pavilion Perspectives, where every artist has a story and every story brings their art to life. A huge thank you to Dawn Herlihy Reilly for sharing her stories with us today. To explore more of Dawn's work or learn how to become part of the Photo Art Pavilion community, check out the links in the description. We'll see you next time with another artist, some more stories, and a little bit more soul behind the art. See you next time.